Hello and good evening. Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening, Sarah. Good evening. You're welcome. Thank you so much, Sarah. Please, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me, so I can start immediately. So let me know, please. Can you hear me? So I'm just trying to open up my phone. So let me know, please, on the comment section if you can hear me. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Esther Chioma. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Crop Top Ronke. Good evening. Sarah, okay, thank you so much. Okay, guys. So I'm trying to open up the picture of what we are going to be doing. So we're going to be drafting the top part. That's from the waist upward. We are going to be doing today. So you can see it. So we're going to be using a princess that bustier pattern. Caroline, good evening. Thank you so much, guys. So like I said, you guys, you're welcome. So let me adjust my, so today I'm not using my microphone because of the network. So most times once the network is not strong, once it is shaky, you're going to, so I'm trying to, I want to get our full table, get our full square. Okay, so yes, guys, so we are going to start straight into our tutorial for the day. Okay, so this is my pattern paper. So we're going to draft the back part of our corset first, and then we'll go to the front part. Okay, so the back is not going to be, it's not going to have any cut. It's going to be straight. Okay, so if you have been following me, you know I always draft the back pattern first, and before I will draft the front pattern. So before we continue, these are the dimension of the measure of that we're going to be using. That's the measurement. So our bust, so let's do a plus size. Okay, yes, so let's a bust 40, yeah, and then let's do under bust 32, and then let's do a waist 6, and then a hip 42. So these are all of our measurements that we're going to use today. So the first thing we're going to do, this is our pattern paper. We're going to mark a line here. So this line is going to serve as our start line. Okay, so like I said, you want to be perfect in your pattern drafting, you can be tuning into our live stream. So I am going to be doing a lot of pattern drafting on live stream for those people that don't know how to draft, those people that are using freehand and want to learn. So just be tuning in and you will know how to, in no time, before you know, you become a pro. Okay, because I'm not keeping any stone unturned here. So our bust point is 11, and then the under is 14 inches. So I'm going to explain that. I'll come back. And then the waist is 18. Okay, so this is the back pattern. So our half cut for the back is just, I'll add 1 inch to it, which is 19. So that 1 inch will serve as the allowance. Okay, so these are the lines. So this is our bust point, which is the nipple point, is 11. So the difference between the bust point and that bust is usually 3 inches, but it could be more. Understand, it could be more. For people that are bust here, it could be really more, that even you'll be wondering, like, it could be up to 5 inches. Okay. For people that are bust here, their shapes differ. So these are all the lines. I will label the lines now. So this is our bust point, which is the nipple point under bust, and then this line is our waistline. Okay, so guys, let me know where you're watching me from. I would appreciate if you let me know where you are watching me from. Okay, so the next thing I am going to do now, we're going to mark shoulder line. So the shoulder we'll use for this piece, we're going to use shoulder 15. So you divide 15 into 2, you're going to have 7.5. I'll add just half of an inch for my stitching allowance, and then from that line I'm going to come by 1 inch. So when I come down by 1 inch, I'll mark that 1 inch into the shoulder line. Okay, so from this point, the next thing I am going to do now, I want to mark out my armhole measurement. So for the armhole measurement, I'm going to pass your tape around your armpit, and then you divide that into 2, so it's 16. So when you divide that into 2, you're going to have 8 inches. So you mark the 8 inches here, and then you will use your connect, you will join the line together. Okay, so you join it like this. So when you join it together, the next thing, you are going to look for half of that line that you placed just now. When you get the half of the line, you are going to place your pattern curve. If you don't have a pattern curve, you don't have to disturb yourself, so just mark it like that. You understand? So from that line, you connect it to this point. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do after that part, you are going to take your tape like this, and then we are going to mark our full measurement. So the measurement is 40. Divide 40 into 4, we have 10. You mark it, and then you add your stitching allowance. So I'll add stitching allowance of like 2.5 inches, and then from that line I'll come to my under bust, which is 32. You divide 34, you are going to have 8 inches. You take out 1 inch for that, and then you add your stitching allowance again of 2.5 inches. And then I'm going to come to my waist measurement, which is 36. You divide 36 into 4, you are going to have inches. So this is 9, and then 1 inch for your that, and then you add your 2.5 inches again also. So once you are done, we are done. You can see how easy this back piece. So at this point, what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to extend my line. That's like my armhole curved line. So the next thing, I am going to join all of those points together. This point, this point, this point, and then bring this point here like that. So for this, I can decide to just use this, so to give it a beautiful curve. Can you see? This is very simple and easy. For those of you that will say a pattern drafting is not a mystery. It's a simple process. Okay, so the next thing now, you are going to take out that. So to take out your that, you need your bust span, which is your nipple to nipple. So for today, we'll use 9 inches for our nipple to nipple measurement. So you divide that 9 inches into, you are going to have 4.5. So that 4.5, just mark the 4.5 across all of your lines like this. Okay, so when you mark the 4.5 across all of your lines, if you notice, this dress, it does not have, it's just a normal back. So I'm not going to be adding like a corset back for it. So the back has a normal zipper. So the next thing we're going to take from this part now, we're going to take out our dart. So we'll take 1 inch. Remember, our dart was actually 1 inch. So from this 1 inch, from that point like that, you mark that 1 inch here, and then on this down part also, I will just take that half of an inch on the both. Okay, so from this point, I'll come up from my under bust point. I want to come up by 1 inch. So why am I doing that? Is because I want to take out a little bit of that from that under bust part, so you can see, but it will not get to the bust. So this is just like a normal waist dart. Okay, so this line, most times what I normally do, this line, I normally connect it. I'll just run it to the shoulder part of the back. Okay, so for me to run it, what I will do, I will, from this point, I will take my neckline. So for the back neckline is not going to be a V neckline, so I'll use 3.5 inches. So when I use 3.5 inches, the next thing, I'm going to come down. So it depends on how deep I want it to be. Since it is a back neckline, I want it a little bit not too deep, because if you notice, the front neckline came down, so you don't want the back neckline to come down, because if the front came down, if the back one is down, that sleeve, it will be falling off. So let's do 3 by 3, which is like a standard neckline. So so what we did is 3.5 by 3, not 3 by 3. This was 3 inches. So the next thing, I am going to mark from this point, I am going to extend my, I'll just check what I have here. So I actually don't want, there's something I'm just trying to do. I don't want so I have about 4.5 here left, so I'll just mark it. So I'll take 2 inches. I actually don't want that, I don't want it to be too curved, you understand? So that is why I did that, so you can see. So I just extended the dart line. So I always like doing this for most of my dresses, so I'll be able to run it down and then do whatever I want to do at this point. Okay, so you can see, you want to snatch your waistline. For those of you that have been following me, if you want to if you want to snatch the waistline, all you are going to do, this part also, you are going to divide this part into two, and then you can create your snatch effect. So it depends on how many inches you want to take out from your pattern. So for that, I'm not going to be doing that today, so let's just leave that. But normally, if you want to do that, you take out, depends on how many inches you want to snatch out from your waistline. Okay, or you can decide to take out half of an inch from this part to this part, and then you just take that extra out. Okay, so now let's cut this off, and then we'll go and do the back. We'll do the front, which is like the main tutorial for today. Okay, so I'll cut it now. So the essence of putting lines on the side is if you want to add boning, you understand? If you want to add boning chambers to your pattern. So this actually makes it easier, because when you cut them open like this, after joining, when you join it, it's easier for you to add boning chambers to it. Okay, so that's the essence. So the next thing we're going to do now, we will draft out our front pattern. So it's the front pattern that is like the main tutorial. Okay, so now let's continue. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to place our tapes. That's our tape. We're going to take out mark our starting line. So when we mark our starting line, so I'm trying to get my measurement back. So when we mark our start line, we're going to add all of our lines like this. The next thing, from this point, we are going to take out our bust point and then our under bust, just like we did before. And then I'll mark my 18 inches for my half cut, and then when I mark my 18 inch my half cut, the next thing I'm doing a princess dart pattern. So the next I am going to join my pattern, as I join a little piece to this. So I'm just going to place it like this. Okay, so after that, the next measurement I'm going to mark, I'm going to extend it, because we need, if you notice, it is a basque waistline. Okay, so I'll just check it. This is our bust point, our under bust, our waist, and then we're going to use about 25 inches. Okay, so the next thing, we're going to just cut all of these lines together. So after connecting all these lines together, we'll label them. This is our bust point, under bust, waist, and then full length. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, from this full length, from this part, we're going to mark our shoulder measurement. You remember what we did for our shoulder? We used 15 inches. I'll divide 15 into 2. So from that point, I'll come down by 1 inch. And I connect it to that shoulder part. So from this part, I'm going to mark my armhole measurement. Remember, I used 8 initially, so I'm going to still use 8 here. So when I do that 8, I'm going to connect it straight like this, and then I'll just rule this down. Okay, so the next thing now, I am going to take half of this. It is very important because I'm doing a princess dart pattern, so I am taking half of the 8 inches. So from that half of 8 inches, I'll come in by like quarter inch. So when I come in by quarter inch, I want to create a curve. Remember, you know that this is a front neckline, a front armhole. So from here, I'll connect to this point like this. Okay, so okay, so the next thing we are going to do now, we're going to start taking out our full body measurement. So we're going to go with our bust pan of 9 inches. You divide 9 inches into 2, you have 4.5. So the 4.5, I'm going to mark it across all of my lines like this. Okay, so I'll just mark it that way, and then I'll use my straight ruler like this to join all of the lines together. So you can see I've connected it. So the next thing I am going to do now, I am going to create out my bust here. So to create out my bust here, I'll come to my under bust part, and then from my dart, like my lights just went off, so I'll end the stream and come back.